here in Las Vegas, Nevada, covering Freedom Fest. I cannot think of Las Vegas without thinking of this man, Wayne Allyn Root. Mr. Root, it's good to see you, sir.
Cameron, it's great to see you.
Wayne, hold up your new book. This is The Murder of the Middle Class, How to Save Yourself and Your Family from the Criminal Conspiracy of the Century. Wayne, I know that you've been a vocal opponent of this president. You went to school with him. You know more than most. The murder of the middle class it's a very strong statement. I know you can back it up. Talk about it.
Well, by the way, the point of this book wasn't physical murder.
No, of course.
No,
of
but what I'm going to mention, funny enough, only a week ago, the first known person died from Obamacare, a woman here in Las Vegas who had brain cancer and who was signed up for the Nevada Exchange, which is the Nevada version of the Obamacare Exchange. She signed up, she paid her check, and they said, we have no record of it. She fought with them. They said, sorry, we can't give you service. 3 months later, they finally said, okay, we found it. She died a week later. That's called real murder. That's physical murder. And while it's not premeditated murder, it certainly might be manslaughter. Someone ought to be held responsible for the destruction of the American medical system and for the fact that, how's this for timing? I begin my book tour in just 48 hours, and here I am with you, and guess what came in the mail yesterday? My health insurance was canceled.
No way.
Family of 6, Aetna, I'm going to tell you right on TV, Aetna canceled me, and they put right in the excuse, because of Obamacare. They said, we can't afford to provide coverage anymore based on what it is we have to provide by law. What does that tell you? Because of Obamacare, you're canceled. Now, here's what's interesting. The day Obama took president, I asked my wife to go back in our records, and he said, my God, I'm going to solve all your problems, and health care is going to be less expensive, and he promised it would go down $3,000 per year per family. No, excuse me, $2,500 per year per family. It went up on average $3,000 per year per family. In my case, my health care for a family of 6 was $500 a month when Obama took office. Today it's $1,700 a month. And I don't have it anymore. It's gone. My family of 6 doesn't have insurance. That's the murder of the middle class. Electric bills highest in history. Gasoline bills double what they were when Obama took office. Grocery bills the highest in history for meat, pork, shrimp, you name important things. They're all up double. All things considered, with the insurance premiums and the electric bills and your taxes up and everyone's business down, we're getting murdered. It is, in my opinion, a purposeful murder of the middle class to create a two-class society, the super rich and everybody else being dependent on government checks.
Well, thankfully you're super rich, so you can handle it. But
Seriously
speaking,
let me tell you. Let me give you an example of the murder of the middle class. Right. Maybe I was rich by most people's standards until you wind up with a $1,700 health care bill every month, which is $20,000 a year. Before taxes, that's really a $40,000 bill. Then my daughter, if you saw the opening ceremonies of Freedom Fest, she followed me, the youngest speaker ever at Freedom Fest, the only father-daughter ever. She just graduated Harvard, and that's great, magna cum laude. She's a superstar, great, but she cost me $65,000 a year. Right. If you're poor, you get a free ride in college nowadays, especially at an Ivy League school. If you're rich, it doesn't matter. $65,000 a year is not a big deal. If you're in the middle class or upper middle class small business owner, which is where I am, I'll tell you very frankly, I'm an upper middle class small business owner. $65,000 a year before taxes is $120,000 a year. You show me somebody who makes $250,000 to $500,000 a year and owns 2 restaurants that can afford their mortgage, their taxes, the electric bills, the health insurance bill, and then another $120,000 a year to send 1 kid to college, and I have 3 more to go. It's just absolutely, we're getting wiped out. If you own a business, your sales are down by 40, 50, 60, even some friends I've got 70, 80% from what they were when Obama took office, and yet our bills are all higher. There's no way to survive, and that's the point of all this, the murder of the middle class.
Wayne, you didn't even talk about the regulatory stuff. When you talk about trying, like, if you're like an entrepreneur, you want to open up your cupcake stand or whatever, who cares? The regulations, the cost of entry, the barriers are almost unsurmountable.
Well, boy, I talk about it in this book. Believe me, we've got all the statistics in here, more stats than you can even believe, that prove there's more regulations than at any time in history. There are more words of regulations, more pages of regulations, more dollars of regulations than any time in history. And in the pure numbers of regulations per year, the 4 highest in history are for the first 5 years of the Obama administration. And you know what the 5th one is? The last year of the George Bush administration.
Wayne, so we've gone through some dub of Scandalpalooza. It started with Fast and Furious. You have the IRS, you have the EPA, you have Benghazi. I mean, it's just, we could go, our whole interview could be just listing scandals. But right now, the situation on the border is so unbelievably harmful to, of course, the people on the borders, on the border states, but there are illegal immigrants being shipped across the country. He's asking for $4 billion to pay for something which I think maybe you should build a fence, but who might have said?
The bigger scandal than you know about. Yeah. What everybody knows about is that the scandal on the border is immense. What they know about is Obama wants to go to fundraisers when he's 100 miles from the border and has no interest in going to the border. What they know about is he asked for $2 billion, and then he changed it 2 days later and wanted almost $4 billion, and you know none of that will go to deportation. You know that he said, I'm going to deport everyone, that's why I want the money.
Well, 5 days, 5 days apart, he changed his mind on that.
Well, of course, he was never going to deport anyone because they're all future Democratic voters, so he wasn't deport them. But the real scandal is none of that, or the bankruptcy of America because of what's happening on the border. The real scandal is, here's my prediction, and my commentaries will be out next week. When my book is out, the commentary's out. Are we being invaded by radical Muslim terrorist cells at the border? In my opinion, the whole point of what's happening, this crisis, is to overwhelm the system, and who sneaks in behind those tens of thousands a week of kids in a humanitarian crisis where border guards aren't watching the border anymore? What are they actually doing? They're changing diapers and creating baby formula. And so who's coming across the border? Jihadist terrorist cells. You watch. There's going to be a massive terrorist attack in this country, and I believe the president is guilty of treason. I don't think there's any point. Anybody shouldn't hide from this anymore. He's got to be impeached. He refuses to seal or secure the border when he knows that we are going bankrupt, that we can't take care of all these people, that children are dying on the way here, but more importantly, he knows that there will be a terrorist attack. Anybody knows, everybody knows in Washington. That's what's happening. Treason.
Wayne, we just saw a story that in Iraq, ISIS militants have access to nuclear materials.
Yeah, right.
To me, that alone should mean tomorrow you build a steel wall.
Yeah.
Why isn't that enough to close the border? It really, if you can't close after that, it's not going to happen.
I made this argument so long ago when 6 years ago, and all the 6 years of the Obama administration, when he said a border's too expensive, we don't need it, the border's already secure. Hasn't this all pointed out, by the way, he's a liar? He's a liar about everything. Right. Your health insurance will go down, you can keep your insurance if you want it, there's no problem at the border. The list is so long, it's amazing. The IRS scandal, it's a small thing, I have nothing to do with it, all lies. But when you talk about ISIS and things like that, you talk about lies there. They are massive. Barack Obama is the one who instigated the border problem. He's the one who's instigated ISIS. Why is ISIS there? We pulled out too soon. Why is the border problem? Because Obama told Central America and everyone else, you're going to have amnesty if you bring your kids to America. It's truly amazing what's happening in this country.
All right, so obviously a book full of problems, but I'm sure a book full of solutions as well. What's next?
I'm so glad Cameron said that because, every book that I see out there has complaints and cynicism and criticisms and also colorful, entertaining stories.
Well, I think that's the problem with a lot of pundits.
Yeah.
They complain, they bitch a lot, but they have no solutions. Right. But I know you have your ideas on it.
I have about 100 solutions. The book is 400 pages. About 200 pages of it are solutions. Not just
That's about half, I think.
About half. You did not go to Obama's public schools.
And you're the numbers guy.
But I will say this. My book has a whole variety of solutions for the individual, for the middle class, for the country, for the Republican Party, for capitalism, for anyone out there who wants to win elections. I teach the Republican Party how to brand themselves and how to brand the Democrats as the party of economic suicide and as the party of lawlessness and as the party of economics. The Democratic Party stands for the following economic plan: welfare, food stamps, unemployment, and disability. That's all they got, folks. And guess where the money's coming from? You. I got the solutions here. I've got an 18-point plan called Middle Class Contract with America that could lead the Republican Party to landslide victories in 2014 and 2016 if only they'd listen. Okay, let me tell you
Wayne,
why.
forget listening. Can they even get together? There's so many warring factions in the GOP. How can they even coalesce? It's so frustrating on this side.
There's a famous book from many years ago. It was like 30 years ago. It's one of my favorite authors. His name is Robert Ringer. And Robert's become a good friend of mine in recent history. Robert used to say in his book, which was a New York Times #1 bestseller, there are only two kinds of people in the world. Number one are evil people out to hurt you badly. And number two are good people, but through the circumstance of life, they also hurt you badly. And I think that describes the political process. Democrats are evil, and I never used to say that. I used to say, don't call anyone in politics evil. They all mean well. Not under Barack Obama. This is pure evil. This is a plan, a purposeful plan to destroy America. The Republican Party is not evil. They're good people. But they're cowardly, and they're feckless, and they're pathetic, and they run from their own shadow. So you got the evil party, and you have the pathetic party, and that's what we're dealing with.
What a country.
I'm trying to give them some balls and some boldness, and so they answer back, and they fight back, because this ain't tiddlywinks, and this isn't badminton with Muffy at the country club. Our kids' lives are at stake, and it's time to play the game like what it is. It's a revolution. It's a war. It's a battle for the soul of America and for the middle class and to save your kids and your family. And I'm not giving up. I'm fighting. How about you? Murder of the middle class.
Wayne Allyn, you're a friend I love talking to, but after talking to you, I think I want to move to Canada. This country is in really, really bad shape.
We're in deep trouble, but don't ever let it be said that Wayne Root says it's over.
No, of course.
It's not over. Ronald Reagan turned around Jimmy Carter's nightmare in 2 years, and Jimmy Carter is Barack Obama. 2 complete idiots and 2 Marxists. You know, it's a combination of the two. And Reagan turned it around in 2 years. I got ideas in here, Middle Class Contract of America, that would turn this around in 2 years and create millions of jobs and turn the middle class around so they're not being murdered, they're thriving. Not just surviving, but thriving. It can be done. But you can't follow Marxist rules. You can't follow communism. You can't follow the idea that successful people are evil. And you certainly can't follow the idea that the whole country should be built around making Warren Buffett $12.7 billion a year while the middle class owes that back in debt. Because every dollar the Federal Reserve prints that makes the richest people on Wall Street richer is money that our kids and unborn grandkids are going to owe back. And that's a disaster, not today, for decades, for generations to come.
We'll leave it there. Wayne Allyn Root, get out of your shell, my friend.
God
Thank
bless
you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye. God bless.